Flynn team has stood up for injury victims across Northwest Georgia. Michael Flynn fights to get you the compensation you deserve, like a recent $100,000 settlement for a woman with a concussion in a rear-end collision and $2 million for a man seriously injured by a logging truck. Win with Flynn. Serious injury, significant results. Visit winwithflynn.com or call 77-WIN-FLYNN.
Carroll County celebrates 200 years.
Carroll County was officially formed when the Georgia State Legislature passed the act creating the county on December 14, 1826. Carroll County was named for Charles Carroll of Maryland, the last surviving signer of the Declaration of Independence. On December 22, 1830, all land south of the then county line was cut off to form a new county called Heard. In 1856, the northwest corner of Carroll County was cut off to form part of Haralson County.
Carroll County, the county of opportunity. The story continues.
National headlines and the local stories you care about. WLBB, Carrollton, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3.
Good morning. Welcome to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Graddick, your host. Delighted to have you with us this beautiful morning. And let me get there we go. There's my levels. Well, we're honored to have in studio State Senator Matt Brass, District 6. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Steve. How are you today?
Fine.
Great.
For those who don't know Matt, let me give a little bio. I always enjoy doing that. Senator Matt Brass was first elected in November 2016, 10 years ago.
That's right.
It's been a decade to serve in the Georgia State Senate. He currently serves State Senate District 6, which includes Coweta and Heard counties and portions of Carroll. Senator Brass was raised in Newnan, attended Newnan High School. After graduation, he joined the U.S. Navy, and upon completion of his service, graduated from the University of Georgia.
Go Dogs.
After UGA, Senator Brass spent 7.5 years as a golf club professional and worked as a field rep and chief of staff for Congressman Lynn Westmoreland, who also served about 10 years, as I remember, something like that. Before his election to the Georgia Senate, he is now a partner at Lott Metal and Commercial Roofing. Is that right?
That's right.
Wow, how about that? All kinds of community activities. We'll just kind of skip through those. Senator Brass and his wife, Megan, has been married since 2007, have 2 sons and a daughter. They members of Newnan City Church. He serves on these committees, and I haven't updated these, so if I need to correct any, let me know. Administrative Affairs, Children and Family, and the Secretary of that, Children and Families Committee, Health and Human Services, Natural Resources and the Environment, ex officio.
Yep.
Regulated Industries and Utilities, correct?
That's correct.
I hear a data.
That's a good one.
Hear a data center question somewhere in the mix.
Oh, yeah.
And you're chairman of the Rules Committee.
Chairman of the Rules Committee.
Extremely influential, and some would say very powerful.
I just do what I'm told.
Oh, really? Okay, go ahead. Tell me more about that.
The Rules Committees. It's a great committee. We actually determine which bills make it to the Senate floor. And so, the bills, they'll go to whatever committee of subject matter they belong in, and once they come out of that committee, they come before the Rules Committee, and we determine which ones would be available to make it to the floor, and then it's a true committee process. And it's bipartisan. We let Republicans and Democrats pick which bills they want to make it to the floor. So it's and then once it makes it to the floor, after that, I determine which order we do them in. And so,
but technically, if it doesn't get beyond the Rules Committee, it's dead.
Correct. Well, nothing's ever dead.
Okay, because there's always next year.
Well, you got next year. You've got, you can do amendments on the floor in the Senate. So if you find a bill that's in the same code section with the same subject matter, you can do an amendment there and add another bill in. And so
all kinds of ways.
There are ways. I mean, you're never dead until you're dead. So
Well, I'm a highly observant, keenly aware kind of individual, as we all know. And I
Right.
noticed that you're wearing a hat
I am.
that says Burt Jones for governor. So
I am.
I can safely assume that you're supporting him,
Absolutely.
unless you just picked it up off the ground somewhere.
No.
So why are you supporting Burt Jones?
Well, Burt has been a longtime friend of mine. Known him for almost 30 years now. We met at University of Georgia, and when we kind of got our friendship kind of got rekindled when I came into the Senate. He had already been there for a couple years, and he just really kind of took me under, had my back early on, which you need that up there. You're kind of swimming with sharks, if you will. And Burt just always had my back, and so when he ran for lieutenant governor, of course I was with him. And one thing I saw when Burt became lieutenant governor, all of a sudden he's got all this power, he's got all this control, and I saw a guy that didn't let that affect who he was as a person. And to me, that's a true leader. And and when I look at leadership, when I look at politicians that are in these powerful roles, I'm looking for someone who is unchanged. I think we see it with Donald Trump. The guy has done what he said he was going to do. I think we have seen it with Governor Brian Kemp. The guy has done what he said he was going to do. And I think Burt Jones is that same type of guy. We had Donald Trump has endorsed Burt, and he endorsed him from the get-go because he saw that as a leader. And then we had some late-breaking news yesterday afternoon that Governor
24
Kemp,
hours.
that's right,
That's 24 hours.
Governor Kemp endorsed Burt Jones. And he said it best that, Burt has been along the governor's side when we have delivered on teacher pay raises, on cutting income tax, on capping property tax, on suspending gas tax, and then you add in all these tragedies that we've been through, or these disasters we've been through in this state over the last 4 years, and Burt and the governor have been there, side by side, leading this state. And we've, in my mind, in the last 4 years, we've had some of the most conservative legislation we've ever seen passed through the General Assembly, and we've done all that while still maintaining the number one state to do business. And that doesn't just happen by one person. It takes a team, and it took the governor, the lieutenant governor, the speaker of the House, and the entire General Assembly to do all that. And so having the governor's endorsement is a big deal. I think that ultimately that's going to separate tomorrow being election day, and but the governor sees the same leader that I see, that we see up close, the guy that does what he says he's going to do, and he's not spending hundreds of millions of dollars on this deception campaign trying to convince people that he's something that he's not. And that's Burt Jones.
Well, mentioning the deception campaign, I don't think I've seen as much negativity in my lifetime, but
It's ridiculous.
when I interviewed Burt last week when he was in Carrollton, he said, I asked, my first question was, can you win in November? And he said, just imagine if the other candidate would win. He's a billionaire, medical, and how the Democrats would have a field day with him.
Absolutely. Well, I think the key to winning in November is you got to have somebody that can unify. And when you've got an endorsement from President Trump and an endorsement from Governor Kemp, I'm not sure we've ever had them endorse the same candidate.
I don't think you
And
have.
we never have before, and we probably never will again. And so that right there shows that Burt is someone that can unify the base, can unify, I think if you break down Republican politics, you've got the unapologetic Republican, you've got the Christian Republican, and then you've got that business-minded Republican. And Burt has shown that he can unify all three of those bases, bring them together, and that's what it's going to take to go win in November.
So with the Kemp endorsement, are you looking for, what's your prediction? Do you Do you think it's going to be a strong win tomorrow for Jones?
I think, it's hard. It's always hard to predict elections. You look at poll numbers and, for me, I'm out talking with people out in the communities and talking with people and just getting a feel for it. And, I felt early momentum coming out of the primary vote. And then, Jackson spent a bunch of money over the next 2 weeks, and I felt some of that momentum get slowed, really. And then over the last week, the Jones camp, Burt's camp, they really started spending again. I felt the momentum picking back up, and now with the Kemp endorsement, I think that's a huge momentum boost. And I do think that Burt ultimately wins. I don't know. It's hard to predict by how much, but that's why we have elections, and that's why we go vote. He potentially could still lose, and then we'll have to, the billionaire's gonna have to convince me on why I need to support him, and ultimately I probably would, but it's gonna be a lot harder, to be honest.
Let's switch gears.
Okay.
Special session coming up Wednesday.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm sure. Tell us 2 or 3 of the topics that are on the agenda.
So the governor's call originally was around redrawing maps, and then he added on local taxes, special option taxes. And that was really around, we passed the bill this year that on the L-host, that it's a sales tax, a penny that would be added that goes directly towards your homestead property, so your main residence. We already had the FLOST, which the FLOST we passed last year, but what that FLOST does is all property tax. And so the L-host is more specific to where you live. And so any county, any city, any municipality that wants to put that on the ballot will be able to do that this coming week. And
you say L-host?
L-host.
What does that stand for?
Oh, goodness.
Approximately. I mean, it's a homestead. It's
local
exemption.
Homestead option sales tax,
right.
I believe is what it is.
Okay.
And so again, that is specific to would only apply to the property tax on your main homestead.
So y'all will be voting on whether or not to.
Well, we've already voted to allow it.
Okay.
And so what this will do, you're still locally, you have to put it on the ballot, and the people ultimately will vote for it.
So understand you'll also be voting on whether to extend the gas tax or
suspend it.
Suspend it. Well, what's the outlook on that?
I imagine we'll suspend it again.
Okay, good, for another 90 days or whatever.
Yeah, and we're told, I think it's, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I remember last year when we suspended the gas tax, it took us about $1 billion to backfill it, which we did with surplus, and we're probably going to be looking at a similar number this year. That if assuming we have surplus, we would backfill it with that surplus, so that we recognize that people are hurting on affordability, especially with gas right now. But we also recognize we can't get behind on our infrastructure needs, and so that's why we suspend it to give people relief at the pump, give relief in their wallets. But at the end of the day, we still got to pay for roads, we still got to pay for bridges, and we'll figure out a way to pay for that.
The thing that'll probably garner the most headlines, of course, will be redrawing the district maps, both state and federal, as a result of the Supreme Court decision recently, basically saying that race was not to be allowed as a factor in designing districts. About a vote of 6-3, I think it was Louisiana versus DeLay. What does that mean for Georgia? How's this? This is probably going to get a lot of controversy.
It will.
What are y'all going to do?
It will. It's going to be interesting to hear the Democrats because, the last maps we drew, they were screaming Jim Crow 2.0, and so now if we redraw the maps again, I guess we're on. I don't know if we're on 4.0 or 5.0, whatever we're going to be on.
Or XP.
But I think ultimately what you're going to see is, maps, if you look at the maps now, you could argue that they are gerrymandered. Mm-hmm. And by law, they almost had to be because you were having to look at race because of the Voting Rights Act. And so now I think you're going to...
misinterpretation of it.
Or a misinterpretation of it, agreed. And I think now what you could see, assuming we end up drawing maps, what you could see is more like rectangular type districts. You're not going to see all these fingers going in
but
and out.
Districts that are compact, that recognize county lines and municipalities, they're better for the voter and for the constituent, are they not?
I agree.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a balance. I mean, everything we do, you try to seek balance. And, ultimately, I think what you could see is, I think you could see a state and really a nation where African Americans don't necessarily have to run as Democrats all the time, because now they could potentially the idea is not to dilute the black vote. The idea is to give better representation, and I think when you're forcing African Americans to run in Democrat districts, which is essentially what the Voting Rights Act did. Which is why Democrats are going to scream against it, is I think you could see a world where we could start seeing more African Americans elected as Republicans.
We also see better representation if you won't have a super solid red Republican district. Mm-hmm. If you quit doing this, and like I read in the Northeast, there's no U.S. in 6 states in the Northeast, there's no Republican representatives, right, and only 1 senator in the Northeast. So if you abolish all of this, your representation may be more reflective of the population at large.
As it should.
As it should be.
Yep.
Okay, so how long is this special session going to last?
That's the $1 million question.
Okay,
I mean, my best guess is, I would think 3 weeks on the high end and 2 weeks, a week and a half on the low end, but I'm anticipating somewhere between 2 and 3 weeks.
One final thing before we go to break, QR codes, they were removed, but there wasn't a whole lot of foresight in that. So what are y'all going to do about QR codes?
Well, you say that. We took it out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So the Secretary of State had 2 years to come up with a game plan.
And he didn't do it.
And he didn't do it.
Raffensperger.
Yeah, I've heard of that guy.
Yeah.
He chose to do nothing, and then he comes in this past session and says it wasn't funded. Well, you never gave us a plan that needed funding, and so it was a ultimate failure on his part. Again, we gave him plenty of time to come up with a plan, and really in my mind, you have right now when you go to the ballot marking device, it prints out a paper ballot that has a QR code on it, but it also has the words of who you voted for. And, ultimately it's our responsibility as citizens to double check those words and make sure. And so, and then you go over and you put it into the scanning, and that scanner is reading that QR code. In my mind, I don't think we necessarily have to change what we're doing. You pull those out of you can take the code, the count from the QR code, but you don't certify until you hand count the words that are on that paper. And that would be a check and balance of, we have the results on the numbers through the QR code, but you're not certifying until you've hand counted each one. And I think that would be where you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, if you will.
Do you support at the federal level SAVE Act?
I do, absolutely.
Why?
Well, number one, I think ensuring the right people are voting, ensuring that citizens only are voting is the number one part of it. Number two thing is, an ID, showing you an ID is, anybody should be able to do that. I mean, IDs are free. That's a big part of it. And, I think the other thing too is just really getting confidence back into our elections, which right now, we saw in 2018, we saw Stacey Abrams and Democrats, they were questioning elections. And then we did it, Republicans, we did it in 2020. And, so when you got both parties questioning elections, we need to do something to restore that confidence back into the system.
Our guest this morning is State Senator Matt Brass, District 6. We're on Facebook Live, Newstalk 1330, of course on the YouTube page. We'll be back with more with Senator Brass after this.
Imagine a place where every heartbeat is monitored with the utmost care, where emergencies are met with swift attention, and where cutting-edge technology enables precise and timely treatments. At Tanner Health, every patient's journey is a testament to resilience, a story of strength, healing, and hope. We go beyond treatment to redefine what compassionate care truly means. That's Tanner Health. That's care redefined. Learn more at tanner.org.
Oak Mountain Academy is a vibrant community built on innovation, academic excellence, and a 64-year legacy of shaping community leaders. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school at Oak Mountain Academy, inviting you to visit the mountain and experience firsthand the passion, purpose, and personalized education that defines our school. Come see how our mission and vision come to life each day. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us so that you can discover your journey on the mountain, where every path leads to purpose.
Okay, here we go. Rules Committee, but also you're on the Regulated Industries and Utilities Committee.
I am.
So that means I can ask you about data centers.
You can.
Because everybody loves data centers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, big time.
Great topic.
Understand, because when I mentioned Burt Jones interviewing him, I asked him about that, and he said he was totally opposed to any tax exemptions or state taxpayer support of data centers.
Correct. So I carried SB 406 this year. What 406 did was two things. Number one, it removed the sales tax exemption on equipment that data centers receive. Now we passed that in 2024. We passed out of the Senate and the House, and it was vetoed. And so I came back this year, and I grandfathered in those that were already here and receiving it. I grandfathered them in, and then all future projects would not receive it. And I did it so that way, thinking the governor would sign that one. So that bill passed the Senate, and then the House. It just never even got a vote in committee in the House. So that was a little unfortunate. The second part of that bill too was it took the PSC ruling, or they have rules and regs around saying that data centers basically have to, any kind of upgrades in infrastructure, that Georgia Power cannot pass those costs down to the ratepayer.
Right.
And so the PSC already has that protection. That is the law. We wanted to codify that. We wanted to make it, actual law, so that it's not quite as easy to change through rules and regs. And so we combined that, we put them together, and ultimately, it, like I said, it passed the Senate, did not get out of the House. And so I think we'll come back this next year and look at that again and see what we can do to fix that.
Just one more question on data centers. Are they? What's your prediction? Are they going to flourish in Georgia? Are they going to be so restrained that they're kind of non-consequential?
Well, I mean, my issue with data centers are causing themselves their own problems. They keep trying to go to these rural conservation areas, zoned rural conservation or zoned ag, and that's causing a lot of their issues. If they would just, they're an industrial warehouse. they need to go to industrial sites. And so if they would start there instead of starting, next to Ma and Pa's farm, they're going to have a lot less issues. And as far as what can they benefit, or how can they benefit us as citizens, it's really just all about the tax dollars that they can generate. And I think we're going to see a push. We're going to try to steer that money to go towards people's property taxes, ensuring that that's where it would go first, and not going into local government coffers and letting the local government grow at exponential rates. I think ultimately they can be a benefit. I would like to see us pump the brakes a little bit. We've got a few here now. Let's see how much benefit they actually are before they just keep coming in here like they are.
We're going to run out of time, but give us an update. Foster care, adoption has been one of your prime areas of concern. What's the latest in your work there?
So we this year we did pass the Foster Care Bill of Rights, and this just gives our foster parents, it makes it very clear what their rights are. It gives them a little more standing in court cases. It gives them a voice, and it's foster care is something I've been working on really since I got elected. Burt Jones created a committee that Children and Family that I'm secretary of. That committee was created specifically for foster care, so I appreciate the Lieutenant Governor doing that for all these kids out there that just really, I felt like never had a voice, and now they do.
Okay, well, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got a question from a listener, and we'll be back with more after this with State Senator Matt Brass.
Imagine a place where every heartbeat is monitored with the utmost care, where emergencies are met with swift attention, and where cutting-edge technology enables precise and timely treatments. At Tanner Health, every patient's journey is a testament to resilience, a story of strength, healing, and hope. We go beyond treatment to redefine what compassionate care truly means. That's Tanner Health. That's care redefined. Learn more at tanner.org.
Do the math. At Oak Mountain Academy, our average graduating class has just 12 students. We celebrate a 100% graduation rate with more than $10.5 million in college scholarships offered. Plus, 96% of our students are accepted into their top choice college. Do the math. Can you see the value of an OMA education? I'm Patrick Uran, head of school at Oak Mountain Academy, and I'm here to help you do the math. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us so that you can discover your journey on the mountain, where every path leads to purpose.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. We're on Facebook Live, News Talk 1330, and that'll be archived to the YouTube channel. We've only got a couple minutes left. We did get a question from a listener. Back on what's coming up with a special session and redrawing the maps, California apparently did a little bit of an independent redistricting type committee. Your opinion of that?
Yeah, so they actually did that years ago, and and you've seen a few Democrat states do that, and then they stack that committee with full of Democrats, and it doesn't really work. I mean, it's and the worst part about the independent committees are they're not held accountable to voters. I am, and if I'm voting on maps and the people I represent don't like those maps, well, they can vote me out. If we had an independent committee, there's no option to do that. And what you saw in California was they had their maps, the independent committee, quote unquote, drew those maps, and now California went back in and disregarded it. They did put out a vote to the voters to say, hey, should we suspend the independent committee? And of course, a Democrat state like California voted to do that. So what's the point in having an independent committee if you only listen to them when you want to listen to them? Okay,
put you on the spot. You got an opportunity for a 30-second commercial for Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones running for governor. How do you deliver that commercial?
Well, I think when you have a guy that can bring in an endorsement from President Donald Trump, can bring in an endorsement from Brian Kemp, and unify our party, it's a no-brainer. The guy has delivered on every promise he's made. Everything that he's ran on, we have done over the last 4 years, and he's going to continue to do that. This guy, he leads from the front. He's not scared to take bullets. He's not scared to take on major issues. And, you know, he's the kind of guy that he just truly cares about this state. He cares about every citizen in it. And, you know, and even in the face of attack, $200 million spent attacking him, he has just handled it with grace and dignity. That's a leader.
State Senator Matt Brass, our guest. Thank you for listening. Go out and make it a great day. God bless our troops. You're in tune to WLBB Carrollton.